Now we're going to bring you another prospective guest on the programme for you, in fact, now, because it is almost 10 years ago since the Islamic State group launched its conquest of the Mount Sinjar region in Iraq as part of the invasion of Iraq by the Islamic State group. Several thousand Yazidis living there were killed or captured. 500,000 fled, many of them victims of war crimes and crimes against humanity. Well, now a film, Sinjar, The Birth of Phantoms, looks at how Yazidis try to live in the city of Sinjar, many traumatised, of course, by what happened. Let's start by having a look at a very short clip of the film.
La vérité, c'est que dans ces moments-là, on n'imagine jamais le pire. On veut croire que les choses s'arrangeront, que même si tout va mal, il reste l'espoir que quelqu'un, quelque part, nous entende et nous secourt. Mais cette nuit-là, l'espoir nous a trahis. Qui pouvait imaginer?
Well, its director, Alexe Liebert, joins us now here on set. Thanks very much for coming in and talking to us. First of all, tell us what kind of eyewitness accounts you had listening to people. I've had to listen to the film. It's obviously very moving, very emotional. What were people telling you about what happened?
The most part was about women. In fact, we really wanted to get testimonies from women because we realized testimony after testimony that the dates and the places and the experiences and violence were the same, experienced by all these women. So we discovered that Islamic State created kind of a systemic organization, and it was really a war economy around sexual slavery.
And those testimonies that you gathered, talking about what happened at the time, but also talking about the lives of the people during the 10 years since and what it still means to them and has affected people even to this day.
Well, Yazidis are a really resilient community, so of course they talk a lot about what they do all day long and all their life, and because their religion is based on the voice, generation to generation, so they need to remember everything they experience through life, and so that's what we experienced with them. It's a kind of already writing of their own history, their own memory, and we were just there to record that.
Was it easier to get people to talk to you, or was it difficult?
It was not so easy, but we had a fixer, a Yezidi fixer. We wanted to have Yazidi people to help us on this project, and it was kind of a first door of confidentiality, and it was easier to speak with Yazidi people, of course.
What's it like for those people now trying as much as they can to get back to normal life, I suppose?
Well, they are, as always, victims of invisibilization and marginalization, so unfortunately no one cares about them. They have people like Nadia Mourad, who was Nobel Prize of Peace, who helped them, who create a lot of things for them. But they will stay, I think, for most of them in refugee camps, and it will be their future villages and places to live. Some of them come back to Sinjar, but it's a really dark and dangerous area today. And a lot of them, of course, like from the 500,000 who were forced into exile, into refugee camps, 100,000 just went abroad in France, Germany, Australia, Canada.
And is there still the fear that the violence could come back?
Maybe the violence can come back. In fact, there were victims of a lot of massacres and genocides through all their history, and they count them. In fact, this one from the August 3rd, 2014, was the 74th.
Wow. The figures speak for themselves, don't they? Is anything at all being done now to document exactly what happened with view to bringing anyone to justice for what happened? Justice
is working on that. There were a first trial, I think, in Netherlands a few months ago, and a lot of them are arriving months after months. So justice is made. The United Nations decided to declare that it was a genocide, and so something is building, but it's really slow, of course.
It started off as a very different project, didn't it? The film that you've made. Tell us what the origins of it were and how you started.
In fact, we started this project with Michel Slomka, the photographer with whom I worked with. We started it just after the Paris attacks, so November 13, 2015. And we met at this time, 1 week after the Paris attacks. And he told me that this date, this particular date, was of course a dark one in France for Paris. But in Iraq, it was the day that the city of Sinjar was finally liberated from Islamic State. And so we wanted to work kind of on a kind of double project. But in Paris, it was really difficult to work on this subject. So we decided to leave to Iraq and to leave to Kurdistan and to start the project on Yezidi there. And the subject was so complex, so that we decided to stay there and to work there and to make this project.
I mean, it's incredible, isn't it? That it's taken you 10 years to kind of get to the point where the film is out and is being released, and on such an important anniversary to mark it as well.
Yeah, the anniversary is helping, of course, that the movie is on cinema and theaters today. In fact, it was a long-term project, 5 years of working, and then a few years of waiting, because the movie was finished just before the COVID arrived. And so impossible to screen the movie, nowhere, no festivals anymore, anything. And we thank, of course, the producer, distributor who helped us, and Amnesty International, who is a big partner of this movie and who is helping us to screen the movie all around.
And as people see it, I mean, what are your hopes? Do you hope to get people to realise what happened and see if there are ways that it can be prevented in the future?
Prevented in the future, I hope, but unfortunately the history shows us the opposite. I think the movie allows the Yazidi voice to be heard, and their testimony, their voice, and because everybody's trying to destroy them, to destroy this religion, to destroy their community. This movie is part of big international project, I think, just to remember them and just to build a memory around them.
Important to do. Thanks very much for coming in and talking
welcome.
to us about the film today. It's called Sinjar, The Birth of Phantoms. Alexe Liebert, the director there. Thanks very much for coming in.